Our tutor today is Adebanji Alade, who we first met in 2015 on the very first series of Landscape Artist of the Year. He earned a place in the competition with his submission of The Circus in Bath.
I do think that they will be very happy today because they've got trees and a building.
And at his heat in Lyme Park, Adebanji impressed us judges as well as his fellow contestants.
This is amazing. Wow. You're nearly finished.
Oh, well, a long way to go. It looks that, but because of our different styles,
good to me.
And his vibrant rendering of the landscape ensured his place on our shortlist.
Fantastic sort of reflection in the light and attention to details. Gorgeous.
It just looks like it's easy to him. It's amazing.
Adebanji's love of greenery and foliage
I love trees, yeah. I see them as human beings.
makes him ideally positioned to lead today's masterclass, Painting Trees.
Today, I'm going to be taking you through the process of painting trees in a landscape. Trees are an important part of my practice. For some artists, they see the trees as an element of the landscape, but I see them as a landscape in themselves. I've got my canvas. I've given it a bit of a wash, a nice acrylic wash, and that is with yellow ochre with a bit of blue. It's just, I think, burnt sienna and blue, that's it. Just giving it a little bit of a brownish tone. And that's so that I don't paint on stark white. And the reason why I don't paint on stark white is that I want it to have a base color that will actually show a little bit of a neutral base so that the white doesn't start to compete with what I'm doing. The reference photo is a lovely tree in the height of summer. The first thing I'm going to do is to get the overall shape of the tree. That's what brings out the overall character of the tree. There's a way it comes across, and that's the contour of it, everything around the outside of the tree. So I'm going to use a Winsor & Newton burnt sienna brush marker pen, and for the lights, I'm going to use a Posca white pen. Let's go. So, I've got everything in order. It's all about the overall shape now. I'm going to just treat this, first of all, as angles. Then I'm going to go in to the major bend. So the first thing is just the overall angles. Now I'm going to go for the exact contour shapes because I've just broke it down into angles. So I'm just going to go in and get everything on the external, everything externally for the tree. And I'm treating this purely like a drawing, like a sketch at the beginning. I mean, most artists will go straight into this stage with their brush, but the sketcher in me is what keeps me just sticking to a marker and a Posca pen at the beginning. But every artist has what they like, and this is the way I like to approach it. So now I'm going for all those little nuances of curves and just every turn and twist for the tree. So overall, I've got the outline of the whole tree, just something close to it. And now I'm gonna go for the internal shapes, the little bits and pieces in between. This is what really brings out the character in the tree. So as I'm going along, you're going to notice that some places are being filled up with some broader washes with the pen. Those are the dark areas. And the light areas would remain as the bare canvas. So it's going to take form. It's going to start having this three-dimensional feel to it, even at sketch stage. Underneath, I have this shadow, which almost makes the tree trunk invisible. And there's also a house or a sort of, I would call it like a church beside that. I am going to try my best to eliminate that because it takes away the lovely shape of the tree. So this is a bit of my artistic license that I'm going to use for this particular area and just leave it open. So now I'm with a darker brush marker just to bring out the dark tones within all these internal shapes. The goal here is to create these dark shapes within this tree that will bring out its three-dimensional qualities and make it almost feel monochromatic. This is all to prepare me so that the painting process will be easy for me to do, because then I would just put the tones right where they need to be. I would know where the darks are, I would know where the middle tones are, and I would know where the lights are. So this stage is crucial just because it helps me map out within those internal shapes where the tones are. The thing with trees is that you don't have to be as accurate, you know, it's the overall feel that matters. And once you can get an overall feel of it, which I mean that's the overall impression of it, it starts to have that character of the tree you are trying to sketch or paint. So now I'm going to come in with the Posca pen and I'm going to create light shapes within the tree where the lights go. So I've got two trees in there, and I can hardly tell the difference between where the first one goes into the second one. I would have eliminated one of them, but I just think it works well as a picture in a whole. So if you wanted to do this at home, I think the key thing, first of all, for you is to get a situation where the picture shows good light and good dark. And I call that the value of the picture. A value having a nice light tone, middle tone, and dark tone. While I'm working, I've decided to bring on a black brush marker just to increase the tones. So these are the darkest darks. Everything where the black is going, these are the darkest darks of the tree. But being able to get this sketch form right is the ticket to be able to get the painting right. So I'm a big fan of sketching something first, getting it to feel right, so that when it comes down to the painting, that's gonna make my job so much easier. So I'm just gonna go back and forth so that the black doesn't stand out that much. Just gonna go in with the lighter browns, just carefully, just so everything starts to feel cohesive. And then it's time to go into paint. So I'm very careful to make sure that the way I perceive this is the way I sketch it. You know, not every artist sees the trees the same way, but I like to see these things like monsters, creepy things, all coming together. Like, that's what makes it interesting for me. Every tone, every shape, everything that needs to work has been done at this stage. Now, all this tree is calling for is paint me, baby, paint me. Now I'm gonna start with my painting. On my palette, I like to have 2 colors of each. I like to have 2 yellows, a warm yellow and a cool yellow, a cool brown and a warm brown, a warm red and a cool red, a warm blue and a cool blue, a cool green and a warm green. This is just the way I love to have my palette because I know I can interchange, and one is darker and one is lighter, one is cooler and one is warmer. So now I'm gonna start the painting of this tree, and the first thing I'm gonna do is to make sure I paint the sky, everything that's not the tree in the background so that it forms a nice backdrop. I love to do it this way because it becomes a little bit more tacky when I'm trying to put the sky after. I think because the tree is in front of the sky, it works better that way because the sky is a backdrop, so it should come first and then paint over. Doesn't mean that I can't put these air pockets in later on, but it just means this particular tree, I need to paint the background first. So that's what I'll be doing. It's a nice, summery blue sky, and that's the way I see it. I'm just gonna build it up slowly and add more color as I go along. I love this one-touch go painting. I just think it just makes me feel like I'm writing. The main purpose of painting this way is so that I'm not overworking the paint. Like, you almost kill the energy of the paint when you keep on going 1 step, 2 step, like, oh, Sarah, Sarah. It loses it. You want boom, that kind of feel. That's what we want in the painting because it's more impressionism, and that's kind of like my style. So everyone has a uniqueness to them. The more you paint, people say, I don't have a style. Don't worry about that. Your style will come with the mileage. The more you paint, it will emerge. It's just like handwriting. You started writing, not planning how your writing will be, but the more you wrote, something emerged. And that's the same thing with painting. So this is why it's a lifelong journey, you know. So at this point, the major thing I'll be working on is the effect of all the light and shade on the tree itself. So this is a crucial part, and it's also interesting. This is the part that really matters, so stay tuned. I just need a base color green to start off with, and this is good. But if I just start painting with this, woof. But you watch what happens to the green when I add yellow ochre to it. It just makes that green so much more like the greens we see around us. So it just warms it up a bit. And I'm gonna add a little bit more, ocherizing the green so you can see the warmth that this green all of a sudden has. It's that lovely warmth. And this base color green, I can now make this darker and lighter. So this is a nice middle tone area. The dark version of it, I'm gonna mix right down, is the place where there's alizarin. You can see me gradually moving alizarin into it. It's the main color that I'll be using, but I can also add a bit of blue. So you can see, just gonna add a little bit ochre into the middle one. and move on. So you're going to see 3 distinct tones start to appear on the palette. Light, middle tone, dark. So these are the base colors I'm going to be using. And remember, I know where to put them because all over the tree, I have that mapped out already in the sketch. So I'm going to start this stage off by going from the darks to the middle tones and then the lights. Let's see how this goes. And the way I paint the tree with the strokes of how I move the strokes is exactly how I feel the tree is. You know, it has these leaves coming down. Some of them move in a drooping direction. And that's the way I'm going to be wielding my brush. There's going to be a feel to it that the brush strokes have a feeling of the movement and the way the tree actually drops, the character of it. When you're painting this live, again, one of the things you want to do is to squint. Squint at the tree. Don't see everything in a sharp vision. See in a little bit of a blurred vision. That's when everything stands out. So even as I'm painting now, sometimes when I really want to see it, I even squint at the picture. But, you know, it's already clear at the pictures. When you're doing it from life, that it really matters. Now I'm going to slowly, gradually ease up into the mid-tones. Just ease up from the darks into the mid. It's a gradually sneaky thing that I'm going to be doing. So you're not going to see much difference, but in some places, it's just going to start oozing in. Just slowly, you're going to be seeing some other greens show up. And these are just the intermediary midtones. They prepare the ground for the main midtones and lights. So most of my brush strokes at this point, if they're not areas where I can feel their leaves, I'm just going to be painting them in a kind of horizontal manner because they're like shadow pockets. I don't need to add any sort of dramatic strokes to those areas. And then I'm easing off slowly into the main mid, just easing into it. So far, I've been working with one brush, and this is a number 10 Filbert. It's a lovely number 10 Filbert. This particular one is big, but now I'm going to go into a smaller brush, and this one is a number 6. The reason is I'm going to go into the lights and the places where the light hits the leaves. This is where it comes more into action. So I'm going with a smaller brush now, and I'm going to be building up those tones slowly and gradually. So it's almost like sculpting the tree now with the greens, with the light greens, and making it feel so natural. So they're just little taps in the way they move, just little taps. Now I'm going to be restating the darks, and the reason why I'm going to be restating the darks is that as you add the lights and the midtones, sometimes you lose the darks. The darks are so important because it brings out that 3D element. You need a strong dark to have a strong light. And if you lose the darks, then the lights don't have that weight that it needs to have that perfect structure for the tree. Right, so at this point, I want to make sure I do the grass and the shadows just to tie up the bottom part of the painting. Again, here, because I eliminated the house over here, I'm going to just put in some light tones over here so it looks like the path continued all the way to the end. So just a kind of lightish tone to go through, just like that path continued. And then add some green grass at the back of it so it looks more like there's some continuity in the background. So at this point, I'm going to paint the air pockets. They need to be darker than the sky because you look through them and they can't be the same tone as when you look at it outside the tree. So it's going to be slightly darker. Right, I'm really pleased how this has come out today. My main goal was to capture the character of the tree, the effect of light on it, and to have some rich, strong shadow shapes. All of this make the tree solid and has a very profound presence. Now, I hope you've learned a tip or two to be able to paint these trees, whether from pictures or from life. The key thing is to just make sure you enjoy the whole process and give it a go.
If you'd like to find out more about these masterclasses, go onto our website, skyartsartistoftheyear.tv.